Right, so what we're going to do now in this tutorial is create our drawing sheets. So now that we've created our building and we're reasonably happy with what we produced in terms of our plans, our elevations, and any other information that we want to put in. So we're all happy with the type of information we've got. We can start putting them onto sheets. Now, sheets is obviously drawing sheets. This is how we communicate with other people in the industry. So we're going to create some sheets from scratch. Now, the good thing about Sheets and Revit is that they're live, so any you can still carry on with the model afterwards, and it will update those sheets. Okay, so it's not a case of wait till your model's finished and then do your sheets. You can do it at any point, and then you can carry on working or add information to your model, or changes are going to be applied live onto the sheets. Okay, so it's a live process, so you don't have to wait until the very end to finish it. Okay. In order to create a sheet, if you go to the sheets on the project browser, if you right click and we click on new sheet. Now, Revit itself has some predefined sheet layouts that you can use, which we'll use now. Obviously, you can develop your own. You can edit the Revit ones. Some companies will have their own one created as well. So you're within companies themselves, you can have templates set up and create for yourself as well. But for now, we'll just go click on load, and then this dialog box should come up. If you go down to title blocks, and then we're going to just pick a A1 or A0 metric, either one. So we're going to click quite a big size so we can get all the drawings in onto a couple of sheets. So click A1, click open, and then that'll create that. And then if you click OK after that, make sure that's selected obviously, and click that selected as new as well. Okay, and that will have created you a new sheet. Now, in order to add the drawings on the sheet, what we need to do is essentially I go through a process of fixing up the drawings and preparing them for sheets. So I would typically go to, for example, ground floor. I'd go into here. I would hide things that I don't want to see in this ground floor. I would check things are in the right place, and basically fix the drawing before I take them into my sheets. First thing we need to do is fix the visibility of your plan. And what I mean by that, if you click on your down here, you'll see show crop region, and that gives you a box around your sheet. What I want to do is bring that in, because this is what I want to actually visibly see in the sheet when I import that into the sheet. So this is my actual view range within the sheet. So bring that box as close as you can to that. Anything outside of this box won't obviously be seen or visible on the sheet. It just makes it a lot tidier. Once you've done that, so that box, you can click on that and little tabs should appear again if you want to make adjustments again. So once you've done that, if you click off the hide crop region box, and that will hide it again. Again, to show and hide things, if I click on that again, if I come back to, for example, I go here, if I don't want to see these markers, for example, if I click on those markers, select them, hide in view, category elements hides the individual thing, individual element. Category will hide that whole category of object. For example, if I want to hide all 4 of those markers in that view, hide in view category would get rid of all 4 of them in that view. I'll show you another quick example of that working. So if I bring that back in, if for example I don't want to see my dimensions in this drawing or in this page for the ground floor, right click, hide in view category, gets rid of all of them. I'm just going to click undo for now. You don't have to do that for yourself, but and then if I go hide in view element, it just gets rid of that individual one. So that's a good way of it's all still there. It's just hidden, and that's useful to know as well. Okay. So if I zoom out, so I'll hide that as well again. So hide crop region, and you'd have to do this for the first floor as well. So if I go back to my first floor, I'm not done finish my first floor off, but you do this exactly for the same for your first floor. So you bring that in, bring all that back in. Bring it all in, and then again, anything you want to hide, you can hide, and then show a hide crop region, and that gets rid of it. Same thing you would do in your elevations. So front elevation, if you go in here, so again, your elevations don't need to be as wide as that. So again, you can tidy this up a bit more. So for example, first thing I typically do is you can keep these elevation markers on, or you can hide them if you want. But I usually drag them in. So if you zoom in, you should see little dots at the end of them. Again, you can push them in where you want them, or the circles as well. Do it the same as well. So a little circle comes in, you can bring them in. Or if you want to hide them, right click, hide in view category. So I typically maybe hide the roof level. I typically hide the roof level, and that gets rid of it. So next thing I would do is, again, I would show crop region. I would probably bring these in a bit. So I'll probably take these in. This is the ground that we created earlier. So in the previous tutorial, again, it looks a lot cleaner to have a ground rather than seeing foundation. So it gives you a grey base essentially for your building to sit on. And then if you go show hide crop region, that gets rid of it. And then again, you would probably do this for all the elevations. So I'm only going to do it for my front and rear one for now, but you can do it for the rest of them. So again, you can hide in view category, and I will show hide crop region. Bring this in, up. Again, you would do this for the plans, the elevations, any other drawings that you might have. You do a similar thing. Another thing you need to do is check your scales. So if I go back to my ground floor, in Revit we've always drawn 1:1 from the very start. But within Revit, you can actually scale your drawings to print. So down here on the bottom left, you can see the scale. So you can actually set the scale of your drawing that's going to be printed. So if I set mine to 1:100, that will obviously make it viewable at 1:100 scale. It does adjust all your text for that. So you might have to go back and adjust your text lines in that just to make sure it all fits in. So depending on what scale you're going to be printing on, this would have been a concept drawing. That's probably why the text isn't probably suitable for 1:100. Probably I would have picked a 1:50 text for that one if I was doing it again. But yeah, that's fine. You might need to go back just to adjust some of them or take them out a bit just to kind of give you some more space. Probably these are probably too much detail for this scale. So yeah, you'd go in, adjust your scales 1:100. Again, your elevations maybe 1:100 again. I'm just doing my 2 elevations. Okay, so that's it ready now. Again, you would go through all of them. I'm ready for my sheets now. So if I go back to my sheets, so the one I created was 002 unnamed. Within the sheets themselves, essentially what you're doing is you're drag and dropping the actual plans or elevations or any other drawings that you have onto that. So you're just drag and dropping these into the sheet. So if I go to ground, I'm just going to drag and drop the ground in. Okay, now I'm going to place that in there, and that brings it in. Brings it in with a little title block. So if I click on that, it's got a little title on it. It's got the scale on it that it should be. It's got obviously the line and number, but you can change that as well. So you can click on no title if you don't want any line. You can click on no title. You can click on just the detail reference and then the title and the scale. So it's up to you how you want to present it. There's no real kind of restriction on how you present it. Again, you can adjust the scale, so you can make it 1:50 as well. So I might change that and make mine 1:50 since I've got a big sheet here. So if I go 1:50 here, and then I'll go back to here, my elevation here, my sheet here. Again, I'm going to just drag that back in. You'll see the difference. It automatically adjusts to this shape. Again, if I go to my first floor, change that scale, it's 1:100 still, so that's fine. I go to my sheet. If I go to first floor, bring that in. That should be 1:50, sorry. 1:50. If I go to my sheet, 1:50. Again, you can bring that in. Also try and line things through. So if you want to move the lines in the title blocks or the title, if you click on the title, you can move that around. So you can move that to line up. If you want to, so I'm going to move that. If you want to move that up, So I'll probably move that up to kind of line similar to, you can use your arrow buttons to kind of line through if you want as well. Again, if you want to just move that down. If you want to extend that line or make it shorter, if you click on the actual view, and that gives you two little dots at either end of the line, so you can actually make it longer and shorter if you want. So that's up to you if you want to adjust them, depending on what you want. So yeah, that's how you bring the plans in. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to bring some elevations in as well. So if I go to my front elevation, again, I'm going to change this to 1 to 50, see if that works, and then I'll put my rear one as 1 to 50 as well. And then if I go down back to my sheet, I'll bring those in. So if I go to front elevation, drag that in. It's too big, I think. Actually, it might be okay. And then I might put my rear one in. So rear elevation, sorry, go back to my plan. Rear elevation in, that might just fit in here. Again, you might want to drag these a bit down, give you a bit of space. And I might want to bring this line in a bit. So just yeah, organize the sheet as you wish. Obviously, don't try and cram everything in. Make sure things are not overlapping. Use your arrows if you want to be a bit more precise. Usually, I try and line through the ground lines when I do mine. But it's up to you how you want to kind of organize your sheet. I'll bring that in a bit, I think. And if you want to if you want to edit any of the titles, if you edit that title, for example, that will edit the title here as well. Okay, so any names you want to change will change the name on your properties panel as well. If you want to do a manual one, if you click on them, there is an override here, title on sheet. That means on the sheet you can have a separate title. But if you just go in and try and change the name here, it will change the name over there as well. Okay, so be wary that you need to make sure that you leave that name, and if you want an independent name on the sheet itself, change the title on sheet name so it doesn't affect your naming conventions within the floor within your project browser. On the right of the sheet, you'll see within this Revit template, you've got some information you can put in. So you can actually put in your project title. So you can put, if you click once and then click again, you can go in and change the title. So project house 1. You can rename it what you want. Title proposed plans / operations. Client college. So you can rename what you want. Author, you can rename that RN. So you can go in and change different numbers and all this kind of information as you wish. You can create 001A. So depending on the company's drawing conventions and numbering conventions, you can do that as well. So you can see there, I've changed that drawing number to 001A. It's also adapted that there. So it happens simultaneously in terms of making sure everything stays together when you name things. Again, all this stuff you can edit, and which we'll do in the more detailed advanced tutorials later on. So here you can see now we've got a sheet. If you want to create multiple sheets, again, right click, go through the same process, new sheet, and then you can do exactly the same thing in the other sheets. Okay. So you create as much sheets as you want. You might fit everything onto one sheet. It's up to you how you lay your sheets out. That's only one example of sheets. You can create multiple sheets as you wish.